Hello, gorgeous heartbeat, and welcome to Heartbeats Harbor. I'm your host, Brianna Hozak, and I'm here to shine the light on the shadow path we walk as heartbeat women. Women rising into leadership roles as lightworkers, changemakers, world shakers, or as I call us, heartbeats, do not have an easy path to walk. It often feels lonely, painful, and unique, but I'm here to help you see how very not alone you are, and how beautiful the shadows surrounding you actually are when you love and integrate them on your healing journey. I create spaces and opportunities for women to step into deeper self-awareness, self-acceptance, and personal healing, community and sacred circles, as well as leadership of themselves, their families, their communities, and beyond. My business and my life is and always will be about massive change in the ways things are done around the world. I believe it's a big part of my purpose on this planet to be a voice for those who don't have one, a safe harbor for those who need one, and a beacon of light to inspire a better way. None of this is easy. I've learned that big impact requires bold action and delusional levels of confidence, as well as a ton of shadow work. If you love what you hear on this podcast and you want to be part of the growing, supportive online village of Heartbeats Harbor, make sure you join my Facebook group, which is linked below in the show notes. Now, I can't wait to get started, so let's turn on the lights.
Hello, Heartbeats. Welcome back to a new episode of the Heartbeats Harbor podcast. I am excited to bring this episode to you today. And also, there's a lot of vulnerability in it. I know that by sharing my story, I help others see their own stories. And so I do share vulnerably. And no, it's not easy. I don't think it ever becomes easy, but it's very simple for me. I know that I experienced what I experienced so that I can help others with their experiences. And this has always been the cycle for me. So what I've experienced, I will share vulnerably. I will not hide details. I will not sugarcoat things. And in this episode, I am specifically talking about surrendering and letting go in the hardest of times. When it's the hardest to do, because things are so difficult in our lives, is exactly when we need to have the most trust, the most faith, and let go of that control beyond the norm. As a woman with ADHD, as a woman running her own business, as a mother who needs to be in charge, in truth, that's a need. All of these roles that I play tell me that I need to be in control, that I need to have mastery, that I need to be perfect. And of course, none of us can be perfect. And yet so many of us have lived our lives under this oppression of the need for perfection. And it is hard to step out of. It is so hard to step out of that we beat ourselves up as failures when we're trying to succeed at stepping out of it. We literally counteract every positive step. And we need to stop. We need to stop beating ourselves up over it. We are supposed to let go. Some examples of when I have let go in my life, and these are really powerful, and yet I still struggle with this. So try to be patient with yourself and understand if you are struggling with this. But, for example, when I lost my home and had to find a place to move to by the end of the month, and I was having no success, I had gotten so wound up, so uptight, so tensed about having to find a place. And it didn't feel like something that I could let go of that outcome. It felt like I absolutely had to find a home by that date because I have children, I have animals, I have needs. I need to. And it didn't feel like it could be possible to let go of that outcome. And yet, when I was coming down to the last few days of the month and I hadn't found a home, and I kept on getting nudged to let go, I finally listened to my guides, to my intuition, and let go. And within 5 minutes, I had a home to go to. That is not an exaggeration. Now, obviously, there were little steps in between there. As soon as I decided to let go, the thought came to my mind that I'd had a couple of friends offer for us to stay with them. And I had not wanted that at first. I had wanted to just get our own home and not have to move more than once. And so I was resisting. And I had put it out of my mind. And all of a sudden, when I let go, that resistance disappeared and it came back into my mind. So I remembered that I had this friend that I could send a message to and say, hey, what would that look like? And my message was, how much would it cost me? What do you want for me to stay there? And it was, they weren't staying in their home. It was empty. And so it would just be us staying there. So I fully expected to pay rent, provide for the space that I was staying in. And she sent back immediately, don't worry about it. Just go there. And I wasn't complaining about money to her or anything. There was no like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it. It was just, okay, what would this look like? And she just said it would look like free, go. And I can't explain the level of how much of a blessing that was at the time, because I had gotten myself into such a hole financially. So then I asked her, okay, what about utilities? What will that look like? She said, don't worry about it. We have a huge bill credit. Leave it. Just don't worry about it. So I was in a coffee shop at the time using their internet because I didn't have internet at home because I couldn't afford it. And I burst into tears. I cried and cried. I had my 12-year-old daughter with me, and she was a little embarrassed that her mom was crying in a coffee shop. But she couldn't understand the full weight of what had just been taken off of my shoulders. I got up from there and drove out to this place. They had a code for the lock, and so I didn't even need a key. And we walked in and we slept there that night, even though we still had a place that all of our stuff was. I still had a bed I could go sleep in. We just slept there that night. It just felt so safe. I felt so taken care of the moment that I released control. And that was a huge lesson for me. That was a massive, incredibly powerful example of what letting go of the outcomes in our lives can look like. And it happened again a few months later. They had said that we could probably stay there until February, and it would have been a good 8 or 9 months living in their home for free, which is wild. But also, as much as it felt so safe when we went there, and it felt so perfect, and it felt so aligned, it also wasn't our home. My youngest, especially Casey, 3 at the time, kept asking to go home. She wanted to go to Mama's house. And it was really hard to explain to her that Mama didn't have a house right now, that we were staying at our friend's house, and that was it. And a few times she cried, saying, I want to go to Mama's house. She could feel that it wasn't her home. And so we were there over the summer and into September, and all of a sudden, the plan changed. We were told they were going to have to be back for the beginning of November. And then it changed again. And we were told they were going to have to be back for the beginning of October. So it was already partway through September, and I needed to find a place. And I had registered my kids in a different school district because of where we were located. So I had to find one in a different place than I had originally expected. And again, I got that feeling of totally clenched up, tensed up, worried, feeling the need, feeling the time pressure, feeling all of it. And for the longest time, for the first few weeks after they told me that, I thought we were screwed. There was nowhere for rent. There was nowhere that we could move to on this short of notice, and all of these things. And I wasn't angry with them for the plans changing. I had been so blessed by them allowing us to stay as long as they already had. I just felt panicky about coming up with a new solution again. And every time I looked, there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing for rent in the area of where I had put my kids in school. And I did not want to change their schools. I was absolutely dead set on that. My son, Jace, at 6, he struggles with change, and he was comfortable where he was. He had adjusted really well to the new school, and I didn't want to change him partway through the year. So I was dead set on it being in that area. And again, coming down to the wire, we were maybe a couple of weeks away, and one place came available in the area. And we went to view it before it was even ready to be shown. And it was horrible. It was really terrible. It was very old, very run down, not taken care of, and very mildly depressing. And yet I was going to take it because I thought it was my only option. I walked away from that viewing thinking, am I really going to have to take this? Am I really going to have to take this? And within a couple of days, I had decided to release the outcome and let go, surrender again. And I kind of thought that that meant that I was surrendering to moving into that place that I was so depressed by. But I decided that I was okay with it, that I would sacrifice that for having my kids stay where they were comfortable, and that I would just make it a home. I could make anywhere a home. I knew that. I was willing to put in the effort, the work that it would take to make it nice and make it livable for us and make it happen. And it was so much more expensive also. And yet I decided I can do it. I always make it work. And I released the outcome in that way. And it sounds more like I made a decision, but it was like the decision was out of my hands. And so I was surrendering to it. And within 24 hours of surrendering to what I thought was the only possibility, I received a message from the lady I had met to view the place saying that they had decided to do renovations on it and it wouldn't be available for quite some time. And it's an amazing feeling when your heart sinks and soars at the same time. Part of me was so relieved not to be moving there. And part of me felt utterly flattened because there were no other options. But I did trust that the universe knew what it was doing, that it was working in my best interests. And I took a deep breath and I just said out loud to all my guides who are the closest to source energy with the best interests of all and harm to none, I'm putting this in your hands now. I need help. I know that I have no control over this situation. And I know that you can make anything happen. I need a home. And then I let it go. I said, I need to find somewhere that I can move by the end of this month, end of September. I need to find something that I can afford. I need to find something that my children will feel safe and secure in, and that we can finally have some stability in our lives after this last year and a bit of instability. And after I stepped away from this little mini talking to / conversation with my guide, I was scrolling through Facebook. And again, this was within 5 minutes of this complete surrender. I found the place that I am now living in. It had just been listed. I must have been one of the first to respond. It was now, because the other one had been removed, the only rental listing available in the town where my kids were going to school. And it was a unicorn. It was priced where I could reach it. It was beautiful. It was renovated. It was so homey and wonderful. And I immediately sent a message and set up a viewing. And I went to see it without the kids first, and I loved it. And my heart was so set on it. But I still was trying to not hold on to outcomes, to just allow. And I mean, I'm very personable. So the woman and I got along immediately. Things like that were great. And I waited a couple of days. She had said that there would be viewings all week. And I knew that the market was insane. Everything that had been being put up for rent when I originally was looking for places was gone within hours. And so When I didn't hear within a couple of days, I was getting nervous and impatient. And I decided to just be myself because who I am wouldn't sit there not sending a message. And so I sent a message, even though my ingrained training was that that would be pushy and obnoxious and that I should just be patient. But I sent a message and I just said, hey, how are the viewings going? Can I book the rest of them so that nobody else takes it? Ha ha ha. And the woman sent me back a message almost immediately saying, you know what? I think that you are perfect for it. Can you send me over your financial information so that we can get the process started? And I broke down sobbing. I couldn't believe it. And everything flowed from that point. Everything just flowed. We literally had most places charging hundreds of dollars as a pet deposit per animal, and I have 3 dogs. And they had no pet deposit. There's a small monthly fee, nothing unreasonable to my mind. There was a little nook in the basement with a built-in bookshelf, just perfect for a little podcasting room. And I was just launching my podcast. I had a guide say in a journey sweat lodge. I had no idea what that meant. But when I viewed the place, the lady told me that there was a heat lamp in the basement bathroom and that the shower could basically be turned into a sauna. And I almost laughed out loud when she said it because I had just heard my guide say that not long before. And I could go on and on and on. There was a garage that I could park in where at the more expensive place, the garage was not going to be available to me. There were so many things. Every single thing about this place was perfectly aligned to what I needed. Like I said, it was a unicorn. And I couldn't believe, even though I knew, I couldn't believe the power in this universe to create exactly what we need in our lives, to co-create with the universe exactly what we need in our lives. And I had told my guides, I had called it out to the universe and said, this is what I need. And these are the things that I want. These are the non-negotiables and these are the needs versus the wants, but these are all of them. And it had everything. Every single box was checked. Yet again, letting go had delivered exactly what I needed right into my lap with zero effort on my part. It is so important, and I want to help others to realize the power of letting go, the power of surrendering, letting go of the outcomes and allowing things to flow in our lives. Because when we try to be in control, a lot of the times it doesn't work. And even when it does, we unknowingly are controlling ourselves away from our best outcomes that the universe could be providing us. When I had originally controlled the place that I found, it hadn't been perfect for us. It still felt like a safe haven when we first left my husband, but it hadn't been perfect and things weren't in alignment. So we struggled, and I struggled financially when I hadn't struggled so hard financially for a really long time. It was just such a lesson in letting go, in the power of allowing and in co-creating with the universe. These were the 2 major ones in the last few months of my life. But there have been so many times where I let go and I surrender and everything is always taken care of. And this is where you hear people saying, everything is always working out for me. And it really is. It really is. If you let it, it will work out for you. So I wanted to talk about that letting go. I wanted to share that example of how, of what that might look like. And for some of you, that might look like getting on your knees and saying a prayer to God, asking for his help. For some of you, that might look like just unclenching and believing that it will be okay. And for some of you like me, that might be having a conversation with your guides where you say, hey, enough is enough. I'm letting this go. I know I've been messing things up by being too controlling, by holding on too tight. When we allow it, the universe takes amazing care of us. And I want that for me, and I want that for my children, and I want that for you, and I want that for the world. And sometimes we try to hold on to things that are trying to leave our lives. And that is very, very difficult because change is hard. And yet, always, 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 the universe, God, source knows what's best. I tried to hold on to a relationship for a decade, thinking that I could make it work. And when I let it go, all of a sudden, everything was working out for me because it wasn't what was right. It wasn't what was needed in my life at that time. So I could go on and on and on about the synchronicities, about the examples in my life of me letting go. I really could. Those ones are pretty powerful. But if you are facing something hard in your life and feeling like you need to take control of your life, that is when you most need to let it go. When you need to release the control and surrender and just allow. Allow the most beautiful, wonderful, amazing, incredible outcome that you can't even imagine could possibly work out for you at this time because of whatever situation is going on. Allow it to come to you. And each time that you do, and you can start out really small and work your way up, but each time that you do this, your power will increase, your belief will increase. And when I say your power will increase, it's because your power to co-create with the universe will increase because you will get better at it because you are practicing a skill. And it's not logical. It doesn't make any sense. Letting go and not having to choose and not directing every action feels messy. It feels like it would be bound to make somebody fall on their face. It feels like it would be impossible for it to work out in that way. And so it requires an insane amount of letting go and submitting to that higher knowing, to that greater power, or whatever you might call it. And I know right now I'm not speaking a language that those of you who don't believe in any higher power can understand. But whatever those of you who do believe in something, whatever that looks like for you, it's an incredible thing. We all have guides, spirit guides, ancestors, whatever you want to call them, angels who watch over us and who are so ready to help as soon as you will allow it. So I invite you, if you're struggling in your life right now with anything on any level, big or small, to let go, to physically unclench, mentally relax, emotionally release, and spiritually trust so that you can live the most beautiful, aligned, incredible life that you did not imagine because it's just right there. It's right there waiting around the corner. If twice I can find a home within 5 minutes of releasing, then whatever it is that you're facing can happen. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is out of reach. Nothing is too much for the universe to handle. No problem is too big. No fear or struggle or heartbreak or wish is unmanageable for the universe to handle. We can't even imagine its capability because we don't have that capability alone. Because we're human, we can't grasp just how much it can handle. So if you need support in letting go, I invite you to reach out. I'm offering in the next couple of weeks a couple of spots of messaging only coaching with voice and text messaging to help you to release outcomes, to let go, to trust, to believe, and to have someone who is sitting there holding that with you, holding that belief, holding that faith, helping you to remember to hold it too, and to let go of what you can't control. Manifesting our desires doesn't have to be hard. We make it so. And I'm not promising you any specific outcome because it all depends on your level of releasing, on the extremity of your belief, on the level of faith that you can imbue into whatever it is that you're trying to call in. But I can guide you, I can help you, I can even speak to your spirit guides for you and find out in what way you're holding on too tight, how you can release, what specifically you need to let go of, what's holding you back from achieving what you desire. And then I can hold that ground with you of arms wide open, heart wide open, receiving and allowing, so that the universe can send you exactly what you need, better than you ever dreamed of being possible. It can be a reality, and it should be. So I invite you on your own or with me or with someone else to choose to surrender and let go and allow in your most beautiful, most perfect, most aligned life. I'm telling you from this side of it where I'm living it, it's beautiful. It's better than I ever dreamed. I love it, and I love you. There are ways to contact me in the show notes if you feel like this is something that would be helpful for you in your life, and we can have a conversation. So if you reach out and it's not what you need, I won't trick you into buying. That's not how I roll. But if it's the support that would be perfect for you in your life right now, then I would love to support you. And if you just need to join a community of women who believe, of women who are learning to let go of the outcome, make sure you join my Facebook group. It's linked down in the show notes. And I want to thank you for witnessing my story today. I hope that it was helpful for you to see what could be possible in your life, because anything is possible. Anything is possible. And if you don't believe that yet, keep listening, because I have so many stories to share of dreams coming true, of the impossible becoming possible, of the unseen coming into our reality. It's not going to stop, because this is just one way that I spread my heartbeat throughout the world. So I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe to be notified of new episodes. If you really love it here and want to help spread the light, please take a moment to rate the show and leave a review. They help so much. If you love listening and want to be part of the interactive and incredible online community we're growing, make sure you click the link in the description box and join the Facebook group. I promise you it is not like other groups you've been in. Hope to meet you there soon, and I'll be talking to you next week, sending you all my love from my heartbeat to yours.